Hello everyone. Well, if you're gonna go crazy, why not go all the way? So, as you see before you, I have from the newest destinations collection from Bath & Body Works, Amsterdam Tulips and Windmills, as well as nearly all, missing 3 or 4, but nearly all of the floral releases from Bath & Body Works White Barn from the past couple of years, some that have gone wide and a couple of test scents thrown in there as well, to do my sort of classic in-depth sniff comparison and review. So let's start with talking about elephant in the room, right? Flower shop. For the folks who have smelled that, I guess it's either love or hate. Some people smell it and they think, like, again, a flower shop, either funeral, cheap carnations, or they think, oh my god, this is the most authentic floral I've ever smelled, ever, in any fragrance, home fragrance, perfume, body, whatever. And I'm on that side of it, that it's so incredibly legitimate. Little bit of history of flower shop. First came out in 2011. Actually was the very first test scent I ever ordered. I ordered 3 or 4. It was like lime ice, flower shop, verbena waters, and toasted almond. And I think that might have been it. But it came out the same year, actually, as you see here on the top right. Hydrangea came out, and a couple of other really interesting florals. There was a test, I think, of Southern Magnolia at that point, just called Magnolia, actually, as well as sort of their standard lilac blossoms and things like that. But I loved Flower Shop, and this one here is from 2012, the last time it actually made an appearance. So we went 2013, 14, and 15, and it never came back, and there were so many different versions, as you can see, of other florals, and for whatever reason, Flower Shop was not one of them. So let's start, first of all, well, let's actually start with the description from this one here. So when we first heard of this appearing in White Barns as testing about 2 months ago or so, it's here, we focus, Amsterdam Tulips and Windmills, okay, cute, whatever. But the notes read, the delightful scent of fresh cut flowers, sweet lilac, pink freesia, and tulips layered with cooling greens. So I heard that, and other folks heard that, and we instantly said, well, that must be Flower Shop. Now, there have been repackages that seem like the same candle that aren't. There have been, sometimes they'll come back in a different name, sometimes the same name, a different, like, there's no rule as far as if the notes say it is, doesn't mean it is. If the notes say it's not, doesn't mean it's not. There's really no logic behind a lot of what comes out with their blends. But hearing that, I was like, well, that is almost exactly Flower Shop. The only difference here, literally word for word, which is surprising because the way they describe scents in 2015 is very different than how they used to describe scents in 2011. The only difference is that this says tulips, and the other one, I believe, said hyacinth, which, okay, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We know Bath & Body Works, something can be sage, it can be oak moss, it can be blue cool waters. Like, they interchange anything that's even vaguely related to each other. They'll release a candle that's called, a ski lodge, not the ski lodge from this past fall, but like, I forget what it's called, Ski Den or something, and then they'll release Havana Heat, and one is supposed to be hot Cuban cigars on an afternoon, and the other is supposed to be a cool, mountain retreat. So there's no telling what comes out of them. But hearing that, I was like, oh my gosh, this must be Flower Shop. So, but some folks said, oh, it's the Pink Tulips candle from 2012, because in 2012, when that label is from, they had huge floral collection. I actually really enjoyed drenched apple flowers in there. They had, gosh, what was it? Petal Orchard. They had pink. They had the peonies. They had a sun-kissed something. They had a ton of pretty decent florals. And drenched apple flower is another favorite of mine that never came back. It was just in 2012, actually. But so people said this was Pink Tulips that came out that year. I never bought it. I didn't like Pink Tulips, and I was like, no, with this description, it must be Flower Shop. So it was in my White Barn a week or 2 ago, right after the semi-annual sale ended, and I smelled it, and I thought, oh, I'm 90% sure that's Flower Shop, but I wasn't positive, and I kept smelling it, and I was like, could it be Garden Bouquet, which came out in 2013, I think only for 1 year, which was very close to Flower Shop. Could it be Garden Party, which came out in 2014, I think only for 1 year, that was similar to Garden Bouquet. But the more I smelled it, and I continue to smell it, I do believe it is 100% a dupe of Flower Shop, which is awesome. I'm not huge on florals, although the 8 candles in front of you would not lead you to believe that. But it's just done so well. I don't have to get deep into it because you've probably already sniffed it before, but it really is. I don't necessarily pick out lilac, freesia, tulips separately. It's almost more like cheap carnation daisy, which is okay because it really does smell like a flower shop that you walk into like maybe some, not some high-end boutique, but like, you know, the corner flower shop where people buy stuff, you know, on a weeknight. And the best thing about this is it's not overly powdery. It's truly fresh, authentic, which is hard to do in florals and in general. But the layered with the cooling greens, it's like you've got the baby's breath. You have literally, the reason why Flower Shop worked as the name, even more so than this, you know, marketing of the Amsterdam one, is the fact that it's like you got these fresh flowers, you cut them, and then just that little bit of liquid from the stem at the bottom, like that green, that cooler, astringent side is in here in the perfect amount. So really briefly, just so we have something to talk about, I'll run through comparing it to these other ones. And just because sometimes, it's, you know, at this point, some of these are pretty old, so I know that some folks enjoy checking them out, and I enjoy talking about them, so why not? Let's go in here. Maybe we'll zoom in just a little bit so we can see what we're talking about. This actually is Flower Shop as well, and this is, I thought, just an interesting find within the collection. They released, I think, just this and like summer berries in this kind of wraparound shrink wrap plastic with these pink lids. I think the only time I've ever seen like non-silver or gold lids, really. And this was Flower Shop, and again, the description, just like Amsterdam, reads, the delightful scent of fresh cut spring flower, although they say spring flowers here, obviously Amsterdam's out in the summer, they're not going to call it spring. Flowers, sweet lilac, pink freesia, and here they say hyacinth flavored with cooling greens. Now, I'll tell you, if anyone's saying, well, that one doesn't have hyacinth, that has tulips. No. They'll change whatever label, whatever scent notes will work for the marketing, they'll say, but it is absolutely the same scent. So this is just a light pink, a little 4-ouncer I've never burned. This is the 2012, the only Flower Shop until now that I had left. And even, I mean, I think it's a pretty label. The wax is a little bit ugly, but a pretty label. Notes on this, again, fresh cut spring flowers, lilac, freesia, hyacinth, cooling greens. And smelling them side by side, of course, this one was, you know, burned 3 years ago, so it smells a little bit different. It is absolutely the same fragrance, which is very, you know, for an old Slacken fan, that's very exciting. Then we've got Garden Bouquet, which again came out in 2012. If we could get some focus there, that would be wonderful. Okay. And this one, to me, I describe it as literally like if you were to rub like the daisy or the mum or whatever, I think it's the daisy, right? The center of that, that's what it smelled like. The notes in that one were hyacinth, rose, lily, jasmine, and, you know, delicate delight. And it was similar, but a little dirtier, a little earthier than Flower Shop, but also I still actually really like that one. I'm surprised it didn't come back beyond that one release. Then you have this. Some folks probably debate on what this is. They think it's the, what is that? Not peonies. I love peonies. That candle, like poppies, something poppies, sun-kissed poppies or whatever. It's not. Fresh Blossom, this is First Bloom, which didn't come out this year, which is why I bought this. First Bloom is, well, they describe this one. Let's see if this is like the old First Bloom notes, which I don't even have any of First Bloom anymore. But this is described as fresh blossom, sun-kissed flower petals, green willow leaves, splash of citrus. That's not how First Bloom was described, but very, very, very dewy, wet, a good transition from winter to spring. So I love that. So that's why I bought that one, even though I think it's a dumb name and ugly color for what it actually is. Then this one I thought would be fun to show everybody, Hydrangea. This was limited release, 2011, came out with a bunch of florals in the springtime around Easter. Notes on it, again, back when they used to do a really nice description. A fresh blend of dewy hydrangea leaves, peony petals. Ooh, okay, come on. Oh, well, I'll tell you. It says, and summer apricot with a touch of sheer musk. It's so nice. It's got, I never noticed the apricot, but I can see it a tiny bit. But the thing is peony, I love peony flowers. They're not overly powdery. They're kind of fresh, a little bit sweet. And I love hydrangeas as well. I mean, it says hydrangea leaves, which is interesting because it's a fresh, they call it a fresh blend as opposed to like a floral bomb. So just really, really like that. And that was, I'd say, similar in quality to Flower Shop, but definitely a different blend. These two here are just quickies from 2014. They were failed test scents that came out late from the Fresh Pick collection, like late in the season and never went anywhere. Majestic Rose, which is nice. It's quite powdery, which is not to be, you know, unexpected with a rose blend. And this says, experience the most celebrated flower in the garden, a blend of rose petals, violet leaves, and white amber. Leans towards like old lady perfume a little bit, so I bought that in my, you know, phase of buying as many as I could get my hands on. I don't love it. And then similar to that, Lily of the Valley here, which was one of the beauties of the spring garden. Lily of the Valley is the heart of this soft floral blend that also features hints of lilac and bergamot. It smells so close to Lilac Blossom. Like, I honestly don't even know why they released it. I'm not surprised why it didn't go wide. and I don't really like it, if I'm being entirely honest. But then we get to Garden Party, which I actually really did like, and again, I think it was only out last year, along with like Pink Petal Tea Cake and Sugarberry Spritzer and the first appearance of Sundress, which is the one stupid candle that came back this year and I didn't like and I don't think a lot of people loved. But Garden Party was, again, it was sort of like if Flower Shop was related to Garden Bouquet, it then became Garden Party. And the notes on this one were, you're cordially invited to enjoy a blend of pink garden roses and pear blossoms wrapped in soft musk. There's much more in here than that. I don't get much pear, or actually I do get pear blossoms, not pear, but pear blossoms, similar to like apple blossoms, which is like a sweet kind of borderline fruity floral, more floral with a hint of sweet fruit. Oh gosh, that's really nice. I forgot how good that was. Roses, I don't get so much. I actually get more peonies in this than anything. And maybe a little bit of, maybe a little tiny bit of lilac or something. But I really like that one. But again, it was, now comparing it to our Amsterdam Tulips and Windmills, like the Garden Party is a little more powdery, a little more intense. Garden Bouquet, actually much greener without any of the like maybe lilac or, well, it says lilac, yeah, no, not lilac. It matches with the hyacinth, I think, but it's got much more, this one probably maybe the rose or the lily. I think there's more lily in that than the sweet lilac, freesia, and hyacinth, and potentially tulips that are in Amsterdam, aka Flower Shop. So I've rambled on and on here, but suffice it to say that Flower Shop is back. I recommend anyone who is at all interested in florals or just wants the one great floral, pick up Amsterdam Tulips and Windmills. As silly as the name is, maybe you think the label's cute. It's a nice pretty pink. Actually saving this for spring. It's a great transitional from winter to spring, as you know, it's like a floral, but it's not like knocking in the face like Garden Party or Garden Bouquet were. Flower Shop is back, so my hope is that maybe this means they're digging into the archives a bit from 2011, and maybe, you know, if not for fall, because it looks like some of the fall test scents are out and there's nothing super exciting, but maybe for Christmas we'll get things like my love Winter Garland. I'll keep saying it. I don't think headquarters, L Brands, B&BW, White Barn watches my videos, but if by chance someone would, Winter Garland and Vanilla Spice need to come back. You know, I've been beating a dead horse for saying Flower Shop needs to come back, and it did, hallelujah. As well as some other interesting things like Tropical Spice came back as Bangkok in this collection, and you know, full collection of interesting repackages, not just repackages from, you know, last season, which they have been doing lately. So Flower Shop can come back, anything can come back. So hopefully we'll get some more, you know, digging through the vaults. And if anything, the fact that the description is word for word, except they dropped out spring and they swapped in tulips instead of the, gosh, now I can't even remember, tulips instead of the, was it hyacinth? Yeah. It shows that they've got an archive of their fragrances, of their notes, of their blends, of their descriptions that go back years and years, even though they've transitioned with, you know, different ways they manage the products, different, you know, CEOs, different product managers, all of that, you know, marketing changes from White Barn, you know, Slatkin to White Barn, on and on. They still have access to that sort of vault of scents, so hopefully we'll get some other good ones. But that's it for this time. Please check out my other videos. Again, I have a chai comparison video coming up. I did the lime granita margarita comparison video, and also tequila lime cupcake coming up. Just a couple of sort of random White Barn exclusives from the past season. Continue the combo here. Thumbs up, subscribe, check us out at Facebook, or check me out at facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice. And until next time, take care.